As a Muslim and as an American, this past year has been an absolute nightmare, watching a horrific and heartbreaking genocide unfold in front of our eyes in Gaza in an election year, armed, funded and enabled by our country, the United States. An election year in which the choice is between two effectively pro-genocide candidates, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. And yes, Jill Stein is in the race too for the Greens, but look, she can't win and won't win, as our own people now admit. For a lot of Muslim voters, though, the only thing that matters is punishing the Democrats who are in power right now. And I understand that. I get it. I feel it too. I also want to politically punish them. What they've done on Gaza and now Lebanon is immoral, illegal, outrageous, as I have been saying for 12 straight months. I am, though, uncomfortable watching some Muslims weaponize our faith and our sense of community to try and score political points, to badger people into voting against Harris, no matter who or what comes next. In recent days, I've seen some foreign analysts and influencers like Sami Hamdi suggest it is your obligation as a Muslim to vote against Harris, even if it means a Trump victory. I've seen a big group of American imams, many of whom I respect, writing an open letter quoting the Quran and urging Muslim Americans to abandon Harris. Now, in my view, there are three big problems with this line of argument, and I hope you can hear me out in good faith, even if you don't necessarily agree with me. And to be clear, by the way, because there is a lot of misinformation going around, I'm not here to tell you to vote for Harris. No, I'm not going to tell you how to vote, but I do want to explain to you what I think is at stake, what you need to be thinking about as you cast your vote, and why it's a little more complicated than some folks on the internet might have you believe. Number one, the increasing use of Islam, of religion, of faith, of invoking the Quran to try and get people to vote the right way, almost emotionally blackmailing them into not voting for the Democrats, and the accompanying insinuation that you're not a good Muslim, or not even a Muslim at all, if you decide to vote for the candidate who you think is the lesser of two evils. That line of thinking, that line of argument really bothers me. The Green Party's vice presidential candidate, Butch Ware, who is a Muslim, recently referred to other Muslims who support Kamala Harris as Muslims, in quote marks, as if they're not real Muslims, as if they're fake Muslims. That is a very dangerous road to go down. You're the Green Party, you're not ISIS. You shouldn't be takfiring fellow Muslims, especially over a secular, domestic political disagreement. You don't know what's in another person's heart, what moral calculations they've made about how best to use their vote, given what's at stake in this election. Who are you to judge another person's faith? Number two, this idea that if Muslim voters deliver a defeat to the Democrats come November, the Democrats will then be forced to take the Muslim vote seriously, and Muslim Americans will have a newfound political power here in the United States. I heard that everywhere. Now, I don't want to sound patronizing here, but it is a little naive and simplistic to think US politics works in this way. I'm sorry, it doesn't. I wish it did. And I hate to be the bearer of bad tidings, but trust me, it's not how the US political system works. I mean, do you really think that, let's say, Muslim Americans cause Kamala Harris to lose Michigan and lose the presidential election in November, that on the morning after the election, Democrats will wake up and say, wow, if only we'd been more pro-Muslim. Well, we've learned our lesson. Now we're going to listen to Muslims on Palestine and on foreign policy. No, of course not. What they'll do is say, good luck to you, Muslims. You helped Trump win. Now you're on your own surviving under him. You'll have one party, the Republican Party, that already hates us, and another party now that hates us too. Now, you may not care about that, fine. But I'm not sure how that gives us any political power or leverage in this country. By the way, if you think I'm making this up, just go back to 2016 and Hillary Clinton's defeat. The Democrats didn't wake up then and say, damn it, we should have listened to Bernie Sanders and been more left-wing. No, they vilified the Bernie wing of the party, blamed them for Trump, and then nominated Biden, not Bernie, 4 years later. The left didn't get special leverage. Go back even further to 2000, when a clear majority of Muslim Americans decided to punish the Democrats and vote en masse for George W. Bush. Did that make the Democrats become pro-Muslim? No. Did that stop George Bush from invading Iraq and killing 500,000 Muslim Iraqis? No. But number three, the biggest issue I have is with the minimization of the danger posed by Donald Trump. This suggestion that if Muslims abandon Harris and if Trump wins, it won't be so bad because, Trump's not that bad. Personally, I find it rather shocking, offensive even, to see people rewriting the history on Trump, the history of just 4 years ago. We've become like goldfish, no memory of anything that happened more than a week ago, it seems. This analyst, Sami Hamdi, said in a recent viral video that, and I quote, "You survived 4 years of Trump, you can survive again." Well, no, we didn't survive 4 years of Trump. Stop saying this. It's just not true. 450,000 Americans died from COVID on Trump's incompetent watch while he was telling us to inject disinfectant into our arms. And according to one study, 40% of those deaths were preventable. So 180,000 Americans would be alive today were it not for Trump. Another 25,000 Americans might also be alive today if Trump hadn't made it so hard for them to access health care. Well, that's Americans, you might say. At least he didn't do a genocide in the Middle East. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. In Yemen, where he helped MBS kill tens of thousands of Yemenis over 4 years. 2018, in fact, was the most violent year in the history of the Yemen civil war. 30,000 deaths on Trump's watch. Not to mention all the drone strikes he did. More than Obama and more than Biden. So if the argument is you're stepping over the corpses of Palestinians if you vote for the Dems, and aren't you also stepping over the corpses of Yemenis by allowing Trump to win again? Or the future corpses of Iranians, who Trump is now openly threatening to support the bombing and killing of? Or even more Palestinian corpses, with Jared Kushner telling Israel to finish the job in Gaza? Is that the game we really want to play, with Muslim lives? And look, to use dead Muslims as a cudgel, as a stick in this way, to bully and blackmail people into voting for what you want, is not just distasteful. It's awful. And it's also nonsensical. Most Muslim Americans already voted for Joe Biden in 2020. Did anyone say at the time that they would have to answer on the day of judgment to the hundreds and thousands of Iraqis that Joe Biden helped kill by pushing for the Iraq war back in 2003? No. Most Muslim Americans understood back in 2020 that stopping Trump was more important than punishing Biden for Iraq. That frustratingly, tragically, pretty much every president of the United States kills Muslims. Kills people abroad. There are no good, clean, or pure options. Sorry. So look, whether or not you vote for Harris, that's up to you. It isn't an easy choice. But it is a choice. Let's not lie to ourselves about this. It isn't happening in a vacuum. And the alternative to Kamala Harris come Inauguration Day 2025 will be Donald Trump, not Jill Stein. The same Donald Trump who Netanyahu and Ben-Gvir want as president. They don't want Harris. A lot of Muslims don't want to give Netanyahu and Ben-Gvir what they want, and so they may hold their noses and vote for Harris. That doesn't make them bad Muslims or pro-genocide. And so it does annoy me that some in my community, the Muslim American community, want us to pretend that this is an easy choice, that you just abandon Harris to support Gaza, that you have clean hands, and that you then have no moral responsibility for the pro-genocide, pro-Netanyahu, anti-Muslim, racist, unhinged Trump who comes next, because that is who comes next, whether you like it or not. And so the reality is that no matter who you vote for, or whether or not you vote at all, your hands aren't going to be clean. Again, sorry. Now sure, some people online may tell you what you want to hear. They may go viral by making things sound simple and easy, or moral and Islamic to you. My job isn't to do that. My job is to tell you the truth, no matter how inconvenient, awkward, or unpopular. And believe it or not, agree with me or not, that is what I'm trying to do. I literally quit a job in corporate media so that I could speak much more freely to you all. So thank you for listening, and God help us all on November the 5th.